The old house stood like a decaying tooth in the gum of the earth, hunched on a rise overlooking nothing but skeletal trees and a sky perpetually bruised. Elias Thorne inherited it, along with the chill that clung to its stones like grave moss. It was less a gift, more a burden dropped at his feet by a distant, unlamented aunt who had lived out her final, reclusive years within its echoing halls. Thus motes danced in the rare shafts of light that pierced the grimy windows, illuminating forgotten furniture swaddled in sheets like pale ghosts. While sifting through the detritus of a lonely life in the attica mausoleum of mundane objects, Celius found it. An old, heavy viher, a relic of a time that felt both ancient and unnervingly recent. Beside it, a single, unmarked tape. No label, no writing, just blank, black plastic. A trivial curiosity, he thought, something to distract him from the oppressive silence of the house. He carried it downstairs, the verse surprisingly heavy, plugged it into the ancient television set in the parlor. The air crackled faintly with static, and the scent of old electronics warming up. He inserted the tape. The screen flickered to life, displaying amateur footage. It showed a garden. A sun-drenched garden, strangely vibrant against the gray of the house. Roses bloomed, insects buzzed. Mundane. For a few minutes, it was just that, a quiet, unremarkable scene. Then came the first stutter. The image fractured. A blink and you'll miss it hiccup in the flow of time. The garden vanished, replaced by a split-second glimpse of something else entirely. Something dark, cramped, and filled with an impossible geometry. And within that impossible space, a shape. Indistinct, fleeting, gone before his conscious mind could register it. Elias blinked. The garden was back, serene and unsuspecting. He rewound, frame by agonizing frame. Nothing. Just the garden. He played it again. The stutter occurred at the exact same point. He froze it, squinted at the single visible frame of the anomaly. It was a blur, a smear of shadow and wrongness. His heart hammered, a sudden, irrational fear tightening his chest. He watched the tape again, and again, searching for the stutter, trying to pierce its veil. Each time, it was there, precisely the same length, same brief intrusion. But with repeated viewing, his mind, primed by dread, began to discern details it had missed before. The shape was humanoid, coiled or hunched. The space was not merely dark, but seemed to absorb light. And there was a feeling, a residual echo of the stutter in the room, like a sudden drop in temperature. The stutters began to change. They weren't just quick flashes anymore. Sometimes, they would hold for a fraction of a second longer, then longer still. The figure within them became horrifyingly clear. Emaciated limbs, twisted at impossible angles, a head tilted as if listening, an absence where a face should be. And it was watching the camera, watching him. The house seemed to respond to the tape. Floorboards creaked overhead when no one was there. Shadows elongated and danced in the corners of his vision. The air grew thick, heavy, tasting of dust and decay. He felt a crushing weight pressing down on him, the distinct sensation of being observed from the shadows just beyond the light. He couldn't stop watching the tape. It was a terrible compulsion. He needed to see the figure, understand what it was, where it came from. Each stutter was a dose of pure, concentrated terror, yet he craved the next one. The garden footage was just a frame, the dreadful anticipation for the true image lurking beneath. The figure was now appearing closer in the stutters, framed in a doorway within that impossible dark space, and at the foot of a staircase, its posture shifting from hunched observation to something coiled and ready. The garden footage felt like a thin membrane, stretching, about to break. Then came the final stutter. It wasn't a brief skip this time. The garden scene froze, then dissolved into static with a shriek of feedback. The static cleared, and the figure was there. Not in a brief flash, but fully present on the screen. It filled the frame, its eyes empty sockets that somehow conveyed an ancient, starving intelligence fixed on Elias. It was elongated, impossibly tall, its skin stretched tight over bone. A sound emanated from the television speakers, a wet, scraping gasp that seemed to come from deep within the earth. The image didn't stutter back. It stayed, and slowly, agonizingly, the figure on the screen began to move. Its head tilted. One long, bony finger rose, pointing directly out of the television, towards him. The screen flickered, not like a stutter in the tape, but like a final, dying gasp. The image vanished, leaving only the dull gray of an unpowered screen. The ever groaned, then went silent. But the silence in the room was worse. It wasn't empty. The weight of the presence was crushing now, the cold air absolute. The scraping gasp was no longer coming from the television. It was coming from the corner of the parlor, where the shadows were deepest. Elias Thorne is no longer in the house. Or perhaps he is, but he is no longer Elias Thorne. The house on Pilgrim's Road remains. And sometimes, late at night, those who dare to pass by swear they see a fleeting darkness in the upper windows, like a blink in the world's steady gaze. A stutter in reality.